Hey, welcome to another installment of Share Thoughts. I am Cheryl, and these are my thoughts. Orgasm denial and edging are often banded under the same umbrella, but yet they are very, very different. Okay, so yes, the two can kind of work together quite well. They're a natural combination, actually, but individually, they are very, very different. Orgasm denied is basically what it says on the packet. It's maintaining arousal, but not allowing the orgasm to follow. And actually, it throws the whole idea of having an orgasm as an indicator of having good sex in the bin, because it kind of shows how a lack of orgasm can actually make things more intense. The intensity of orgasm denial is probably the reason why it's often practiced as BDSM, usually playing out as a dominant partner stimulating the more submissive partner highly, only to stop or slow things down as they reach the brink in order to, well, stop the orgasm. Orgasm denial in a BDSM setting can actually go some way towards deepening the erotic control bonds between a dominant and a submissive, because it's definitely a power control thing. The person doing the denying is 100% in control. Having said that, orgasm denial is not something that has to be done with another. Orgasm denial can be practiced alone whilst masturbating, and is often done as a way of exerting control over one's sexual feeling, having the power to pleasure oneself, but still being able to control the need to orgasm. It really is a satisfying thing for some. People indulge in orgasm denial in a variety of ways. Some choose a time limit in which to allow their partner to orgasm, whilst others may use a code word that, once spoken, is a cue for the person being denied to again be allowed to orgasm. Another way could be denying an orgasm until something has been done. For example, an individual might say, I don't know, until you give me head, you're not allowed to orgasm, that kind of thing. The great thing is it really is down to you and anyone else that's involved to decide how you move on this. There are no rules other than consent, obviously. But outside of that, you do you. As mentioned before, orgasm denial should not be confused with edging. The confusion over the two is easy to understand because edging is often used when it comes to orgasm denial, only edging is essentially a masturbatory game where you stop before you come and build back up again. But at the end of it, you're going to get that nut. With orgasm denial, the end result is literally that. No orgasm. That's the main difference between the two. With edging, you're going to come. With orgasm denial, you're not going to come. So let's talk about edging. Edging does take some practice. It's probably not something that you'll just get the knack of. It's all about discipline and control. So it's something that will develop over time. The great thing about edging for men and women is it treats sex almost as though it's a kind of ritual. You're building yourself up only to drop back down again, up and down, controlling yourself all the way through and actually readying your body for an almighty release when you finally let go. If you are new to the edging game, it's probably better that you practice on your own just to kind of familiarize yourself with what's popping and how easily or how hard you may find holding off to be. I mean, of course, if you want to go straight in with your partner, that is entirely your prerogative, but it will only work in a partner setting if you're verbal and happy to openly indicate where you're at on the pleasure spectrum. Because let's be real, if you ain't telling him or her when you're getting close, they're going to carry on with whatever it is they're doing. And the next thing you know, blam, you've arrived and the whole edging thing just goes down the kazi. Okay, so to successfully edge alone, you've got to arouse yourself first and foremost. However you choose to do it, with your fingers, with a toy, whatever it is that works for you, do that. Continue to stimulate yourself until you get to the plateau stage. So the plateau stage is when you're just at the tip, ready to tilt. At that point, you stop. The truth is, it might feel really frustrating at first, and you might not even be able to stop. But that's where practice comes in, because you might find the first few times it's just like, okay, you want to stop, but you just can't, and you just go anyway. But over time, as you practice and you kind of do what you're doing, eventually you'll get to the point where you can stop yourself. And when you do stop, it's crucial that you kind of focus on your breath, sort of breathing into your belly. You're kind of, I guess, centering yourself, distracting yourself away from the orgasm that's been brewing and wanting to just erupt inside of you. So you really need to kind of focus in, just hone in on the breath and just bring yourself back down, simmer back down, basically. That's what you're trying to do. And when you feel ready to go again, off you go. You start stimulating again, and you just keep repeating that over and over until you can't take any more, and then you just have to erupt. I think it's important to note the individual ability to kind of float between the plateau stage and bringing yourself back down does vary. So don't put any pressure on yourself. And if you can only manage to do it once, that's okay. Edging is literally mindfulness at its finest. It's all about what's popping off in your mind. It really is. Your mind is actually controlling things here. So it's really important to remember that we are all set up with different limits and tolerance levels. So we're not going to be able to do the same as each other. We might be able to do some things the same, but ultimately we're kind of wired differently. So it's about understanding yourself, knowing what works for you, and embracing that. So yeah, I think if you're ever going to go for orgasm denial, that is definitely a conversation that has to be had between you and your partner. Because whilst they might be into edging, a lot of people are, a lot of people tend to do the build up and fall back as standard during sex. So they might be cool with that. But being denied an orgasm completely, now that is a whole other ball game. Knowing that, okay, you're going to take me there and stop, but at the end of it, you're going to let me go is one thing. But imagine just being left high and dripping wet, dying to come, and that's it. Your partner's just like, yeah, that's you, babes. Now, if you ain't on board with that, that's like a fight right there. The frustration would be so real. You literally want to deck the person. Like, what are you doing? That's why it's important that you have that conversation if that's what you're wanting to do or that's what you're trying to do, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So yeah, be clear on what you're doing and communicate. Oh my goodness, I am so big on that. Communication is literally everything, especially when it comes to sex and intimacy. We have to communicate. We have to let each other know what's going on. We need to converse and understand each other so we get the best out of and for each other, 100%.